When we talk about AI, a few big names probably pop into your head. But there's this other player, a much more shadowy and powerful force that's deeply woven into the fabric of global power. Today, we're digging into Palantir, a company some have called the empire's AI blade.
So let's just start with a big question right off the bat. What is the world's most controversial AI company? Because while some companies are busy building chatbots, Palantir is building something with way higher stakes, and it's landed them right in the middle of a massive global debate.
All right, so here's how we're going to break it down. First, we'll get into what Palantir actually is. Then, we'll look at its role as a digital weapon for the world's biggest powers. After that, we'll flip the coin and see how that same tech is used back at home. We'll explore the mind of its CEO, Alex Karp, and finally, we'll ask a pretty provocative question. Are we seeing the rise of a new tech AI cult?
Okay, so first things first. There's a ton of mystery and hype around Palantir, but what does this company actually do? Let's clear that up.
The first thing you've got to understand is that Palantir is not trying to be the next ChatGPT. It's not a creative AI. Think of it more like a data operating system. Its whole job is to take these huge, messy, chaotic piles of data from all over the place and stitch them together into one clear picture. And why? So that human beings, with help from AI, can make incredibly important, high-stakes decisions for governments, for the military, for intelligence agencies.
And that leads us directly to one half of Palantir's identity, its role as the company forging the West's digital arsenal. I mean, this isn't some secret. It's pretty much their entire mission statement. The vision, and CEO Alex Karp says this out loud, is for Palantir to be the West's digital arsenal. In the real world, that means making militaries way more efficient. It's been used to huge effect in the war in Ukraine, for example, helping with everything from drone targeting to battlefield strategy. And by selling this system to allies, Palantir is basically building a data alliance, with the U.S. right at the center, locking in America's tech dominance in global security.
This slide really shows you the fundamental change we're talking about here. Old wars fought with tanks, aircraft carriers. The new war that Palantir enables, it's fought with data and algorithms. Instead of these long, slow chains of command, you get instant AI-assisted decisions. But this also brings up a much darker side of things, a move away from physical confrontation to what the source analysis calls dehumanized, screen-based warfare, where life and death decisions can be made with the click of a button.
But, a blade like this, it cuts both ways. So now we have to look at the other edge, the one that's pointed back at home, and raises a whole lot of really uncomfortable questions. The biggest fear, the central criticism, is the risk of creating what's called a digital panopticon. It's this idea of a society where everyone is potentially being watched all the time, not by a guard in a tower, but by a silent algorithm that's constantly sifting through all of our digital lives.
So let's break down the core criticisms here. The system's incredible power comes from its ability to totally integrate data, your banking records, your travel history, your social media, your private messages, all into one single profile. This leads to major worries about things like predictive policing, where an algorithm fed biased data might unfairly target certain neighborhoods or communities. And because the algorithms are a total black box, it's almost impossible to know why it's making a certain decision or to hold anyone accountable. Put it all together, and what you have is the technical blueprint for a surveillance state like we've never seen before. So to really get why Palantir does what it does, you have to look inside the mind of its CEO, Alex Karp. Because this isn't just about business or technology, it's driven by a powerful ideology.
Karp's entire philosophy seems to start right here, with a belief he states very plainly. American rights aren't granted by any government. He says they're given to us by God. Now that's not just some throwaway line. It's the ideological foundation for his entire company's mission.
And building on that foundation, his view of the world is incredibly stark. It's a binary, a zero-sum game. He says there's only two cultures that are going to win, US or China. This kind of thinking turns Palantir from just a software company into a key player in what he sees as a giant civilization-defining struggle. And it all comes to a head with this idea that you can only use AI correctly if you start from a place of American exceptionalism. For Karp, the true promise of AI is only available to those who understand and embrace the superiority of America and its culture. It directly ties the technology itself to a very specific national and cultural identity.
So, when you map it all out based on an analysis of his public statements, you see that these aren't just random thoughts. They all link together. They form this really complex, interconnected worldview where the US Constitution, a specific cultural view, and technology are all part of the same philosophical engine driving the company forward.
Okay, so how in the world are we supposed to make sense of all of this? The source material that we're drawing from puts forward a pretty provocative idea to help us understand it. What if we're actually watching the birth of a new kind of tech AI cult?
So what does that even mean, a tech AI cult? Well, according to this analysis, it's a modern thing that has 4 key ingredients. You've got a charismatic leader, a mission that feels almost divine, a really clear us versus them worldview, and a core belief system that's literally written into software algorithms.
Now let's see how this framework actually fits Palantir. Step 1, you have the prophet. That's CEO Alex Karp, who is constantly preaching this mission to save Western civilization. Step 2, the divine mission. This belief, straight from his own words, that their work is a God-given duty. Step 3, the unquestionable doctrine. It's not a holy book. It's the incredibly complex black box algorithms that spit out a version of truth that's very, very hard to argue with. And finally, step 4, that stark us versus them ideology we just talked about.
So the conclusion from the source analysis is pretty stunning. Palantir isn't just a tech company, it's not just a government contractor, it's a fusion of both. And it operates with the intensity of a modern crusade, all driven by a conviction that feels almost religious.
And that leaves us, you and me, with the ultimate question. This isn't just about Palantir anymore. It's about the kind of world this technology is building around us. We get more efficiency, but how much privacy do we give up? We get more security, but how much freedom does it cost? As this power gets stronger and deeper in our lives, the real question we all have to answer is, where do we draw the line?